Hey, what's going on? It's Andrew from me.io. In this mini course, we're going to explore and actually set up ESLint. ESLint is a code quality tool. So its job is to scan your project files and point out potential issues, whether they're non-critical issues like formatting or whether they actually are critical issues, like trying to reference a function that does not exist. Now, ESLint is not alone in this space. There are other tools like JSHint and ESLint. All of these tools try to solve the same problem, but as of late, the community's been moving towards ESLint. They've been better at keeping up with the latest features from ES6 and ES7. The other tools don't have as great of integrations, so the community has started to shift away from them. You're more than welcome to use those tools, but in this mini course, we are going to explore and actually set up ESLint. So to kick things off, what I want to do is just give you a quick demonstration of exactly what ESLint is going to do for us without needing to set up anything on our machine. They have a demo page right over here, and I just want to take a few seconds to visit that and explore exactly what we're going to get. Later on, we'll actually be running ESLint from the terminal and then inside of our text editor, but for now, we can just type some code over here and view the errors associated with it. So for this one line of JavaScript, we actually have two ESLint errors. Now this one line just creates a variable foo and sets it equal to the value of the variable bar. And if we look over here, we can see exactly what's going wrong. So let's actually start with the second issue. Bar is not defined. This is the English readable version of the error, and it actually shows you where the issue took place on line 1, column 11. Later on, when we actually have files, it'll show us the file name as well. Now, if we go over to line 1, column 11, right here, we can indeed see that we use a variable bar and it's never actually defined, which means that our program as it currently stands is not going to work as expected. Bar doesn't exist, the thing is going to crash. So this is ESLint notifying us of a critical issue. Now we also have the actual rule name, no-undef, and that's for no undefined, and we'll explore the various rules and how we can configure them later. For now, we're just working with the default set of recommended rules. The first error, foo is assigned a value but never used, comes from line 1, column 5. So here we create a foo variable, but we never actually use it, which means the variable itself could just be deleted since it's never used. It also shows us the rule for that, something we can also configure later on. For the moment, let's just go ahead and add a little code to tweak the errors we're seeing. So we could start by defining bar to remove that one. I can use var bar equals the number 10, and then maybe I'll set foo equal to bar plus 20. Now we only have one issue. The error related to bar being undefined no longer applies, so it's not showing up since bar is defined. We do still have the issue related to creating a foo variable and never actually using it, so let's go ahead and fix this one as well. To fix this, what I'm going to do is assume we're working in a browser-based JavaScript environment, and I'm just going to use document.write, which allows me to write something to the document, and that's going to show up in the browser. For this one, let's go ahead and call it, and I'm just going to pass in the value of foo. Now this is going to remove the error related to that variable, but it does create a new one. We actually have an issue related to using document. Document is not defined, exactly what we saw for bar earlier on. Now this is a little weird, right? Because we know that things like window and document, those are provided to us by the browser. So we shouldn't be defining document in our code. It's actually part of the environment we're running in. One of the great features of ESLint is the fact that you can customize it to fit your needs, something we're going to be doing extensively. For now, though, we can just crack open the rules configuration down below and change the configuration rules being used for this demonstration. Down below, there is just a ton of stuff. It can be very overwhelming, so we're going to take things one step at a time. Up above, we have some high-level configuration options. Down below that, we have some various environments that we might be running in. And down below that, we have just a ton of rules. Now, don't worry, we're not going to be going through and picking each individual one. We're going to use a preset that sets up a common set of rules. And then from there, we can always configure things to fit our needs. So let's start with environments. There's all sorts of environments. The two big ones, browser and node. We have other ones like test environments, Mocha, Jasmine, Jest. We have Phantom.js. We have all sorts of interesting things going on over here. We even have things for Meteor, so you can get access to those Meteor globals. Now, what we're going to do for now is just set up a couple. We're going to be setting up browser, node, and ES6. So this is going to enable things available in those environments. And if we scroll up, we're going to see that our code sample hasn't changed, but because of our configuration, our program is now lint free. We run it through ESLint with those configuration values. We can see that document is indeed a global provided by one of our environments, so that's no longer an issue worth mentioning. So actually setting up ESLint to fit our needs does take a bit of time, but you're going to save way more than that time. When you actually have it in place, it's going to help you prevent all those errors that take a ton of time to debug. So let's continue on. What I want to do real quick is switch this over to const. I'm going to switch it here and here, and we can see that, well, this technically does follow the ES6 standard. We are still getting a parsing error. The const is a reserved keyword error. So all we need to do to fix things like this is once again tweak the rules. Down below, we can switch our ECMAScript version. I'm going to go ahead and crank it up to 8, and that's going to resolve the issue we've seen above. Const wasn't available in v5. It is available now. So as long as we're running with the correct configuration, we're going to be able to set up ESLint to fit our programming style and support all of the cool things we use these days, like arrow functions, async await, or any other new JavaScript syntax. So there we have it. This is a quick peek at exactly what ESLint is going to allow us to do. And what I want to do from here on out is actually start setting things up locally on our machines. The first thing we need to do is install ESLint, and it's an NPM module, so make sure you have Node installed. I'm going to switch over to the terminal and run node v. You just want to make sure you do have Node installed since we're going to be using it. You're more than welcome to use either npm or yarn, the other package manager. It's really up to you. I'm going to go ahead and use npm here, but you're more than welcome to use yarn. Everything is going to work as expected. Now what we need to do is install the ESLint npm package, and I'm going to install it globally, which would be npm install with the G flag ESLint, and we'll grab the latest version at 4.9.0. For yarn, that would be yarn global add ESLint at 4.9.0. So let's go ahead and actually install this, and we're installing it globally for the moment. This is going to allow us to actually run the ESLint command from the terminal. And we're going to go ahead and do just that. ESLint with the version flag. This is going to print the currently installed version, and that's going to allow us to make sure it actually did install correctly. If you're seeing an issue like ESLint command not found, that means things weren't installed correctly, or you might need to restart your entire machine, come back into the terminal, and see if things start working. So do make sure that you can run ESLint with the version flag in order to actually continue on. From here, what we're going to do is create a file in our project and run that through ESLint. So I am working in an ESLint basics directory, and currently this is just an empty folder on my desktop. Do go ahead and create some sort of folder as your workspace for this mini course. Inside of this folder, I actually do have a single file, app.js, but the file is empty. So let's go ahead and just add some stuff in, starting off with the example we saw on the website, var foo equals bar. We know this does have some issues, so let's just go ahead and try to recreate those same errors, but locally as opposed to on the demo page. When we're working with ESLint locally, we do have to create a configuration file in our project. Now you can create configuration files on the global level for your entire machine, but you usually want to do this on a project by project basis, even if the two files are identical, because you might be working with others. One of the configuration files might change as the team's style changes. So for now, we're just going to make a single file in the root of the project, and that is going to be .eslint RC. This is the configuration file for ESLint, and it's a JSON file. So if we're going to write some JSON, we want to open and close those curly braces and put the various key value pairs inside of here. Now we can start off with an empty file and actually see what happens when we run ESLint like this. I am going to clear the terminal output. And over here, all we're going to do is run ESLint again. This time though, we're going to pass to it the file we actually want to process, which is app.js in the current directory. If I run this command, what happens? Well, nothing happens because we haven't configured ESLint to do anything. So what we're going to do is set up ESLint using the exact same ECMAScript versions and environments that we set up in the demo application. We're also going to need to configure the base set of rules. So we had all of those rules over in the demo version of the application, but right now we are actually using no rules. So we have to set those up as well. And we're not going to go rule by rule. There is just a recommended set of rules that we can go ahead and enable. And we'll talk about how to configure those and customize them a bit later. So inside of here, let's go ahead and get started adding some stuff to our config object. We'll pull up the docs for all of these rules in just a second, but to kick things off and actually get something set up, we're going to set up a single property right here. And this is defined. It's called extends. So you have to use that exact word. Otherwise ESLint won't be able to find it. And there is a value, which is ESLint : recommended. By extending the recommended set of rules, we're going to have all of the same rules that we had over in the demo version when we pulled it up on the website. So we can actually go ahead and save our ESLint configuration file. We can rerun that exact same command from the terminal, and this time around, we're getting the exact same two errors we saw before. Now, if you remembered what we did then, all we did is we actually fixed that. I set var bar equal to 10. I then set foo equal to bar plus 20. And then we went ahead and used document.write. So document.write, I'm going to set that up to write the value of foo to the screen. If we save our file and rerun the exact same command, we're back to where we were in the demo, where everything else is fine, but the document global does not exist. So we are getting an error related to that. So we have all of the rules in place. Let's go ahead and see how we can actually configure our ECMAScript version and our environments right here from the ESLint RC file. Let's set that up before we explore the documentation. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and add a new property on, and this one is called parser options, and this lets us customize the parser that ESLint uses. This is where we can specify the version of ECMAScript that we want to use, and we do that by adding on a property, ECMA, capital V version, and we set it equal to the version we want to use. We don't want to use 5, which is the default. We want to use at least 6, so we can set that up right there. And we're also going to set up our environments. We are going to set up ES6, Node, and the browser. That'll happen down below after parser options. This one is called env. It is also an object, and on there we provide the various environments we want to enable, and we set the value equal to true. So for Node, it would be Node, true. For the browser, browser, true. And for ES6, ES6, true. Now we have the exact same setup we had in the demo version of the application. And if I rerun ESLint again, we're going to see that this time around, we're back to getting no output because we don't have any issues worth addressing. Our entire file is completely valid, and it's only valid because we have set up ESLint RC. We can even switch these over to consts. This is something that caused trouble in the past before we configured things. These days, it's not going to cause any problems because we have set up the parser options correctly. So before we go any further, I do want to show you where you can find all of this stuff in the documentation because it really is a good set of docs. I'm going to switch over to the browser and I'm going to go away from the demo page and to the user guide configuring ESLint page. This is where we can learn about exactly what can go in that ESLint RC file. And they start off with parser options. So right here, the default ECMAScript version is version 5. If you want to use something newer, you have to specify that. They show some example code for ES6 down below, and this is literally exactly what we just put in our local configuration file. There are other things we can specify there as well, and they show you all of those. For example, if we are working with React, we might want to enable support for JSX. If we keep going down past parser options, which we're really not going to touch again, and eventually we do get to environments, and here we see all of the environments we saw on the demo page. We have browser, we have Node, and we have ES6, the 3 that we enabled. If you are working in other environments though, like you're using Jest with your React application, you're going to want to enable that. If you're using Mocha for your Node app, you might want to enable that one. It's going to give you access to all of the globals that those two libraries actually set up. So if you're using before each, each and you don't enable those environments, you're going to get an error thinking that you're trying to access a before each variable that you forgot to define. Once you enable those, it'll allow you to actually use those globals without throwing any ESLint errors. So do feel free to enable the various environments, but only do the ones you're actually using. So that is it for what we're going to talk about in this video. So far, we have a very basic setup, but it is indeed working, which is where we want to get to for now. We are using the recommended set of rules. We haven't talked about rules. We will soon. We're using version 6 of ECMAScript, and we have specified our environment. And all of this does get us headed down the right path. We're able to do a little validation of our code. And in the next video, what we're going to do is explore how we can take this further. We're going to look at a more strict and robust set of rules, a third-party set of rules, and we're also going to explore how we can start integrating ESLint directly into our editor so we don't have to actually run commands from the terminal. That's all coming up in part 2, so let's go ahead and jump right over there. I'll see you soon.